Okay, today I want to talk about, go over some exercises in chapter 3. It's very important during this week that you read chapter 3 and read it very carefully. Don't skip anything. It's chapter 3, clear thinking, critical thinking, and clear writing. Read every word of it and don't skip. So basically, in a previous lecture, I talked about this acronym, QUERTOL, Quartal. Chapter 3 is going to focus on the U. The Quartal means, and actually the Q maybe too, but mainly the U. The U stands for, if you remember this, what each of these letters stand for, okay? If you haven't already done it, take the time to memorize them. Q stands for, these are basically seven rules that you should observe when you write an essay or you write anything, especially argumentative essays. Q stands for qualify your statements when necessary. If you don't mean always, then say sometimes, something like that, okay? So qualify your statements. Chapter 3 is focusing on this. This is chapter 3 of the book. It focuses on, most of the chapters in the book you actually will focus on one of these letters. The U stands for understand, right? So people can understand you, right? Understandably. That's what this chapter is about. And there's different ways in which you write so people don't understand you. And some of them are, chapter 3 will talk about it in detail. Ambiguity. Avoid ambiguity. Avoid vagueness. Too much vagueness. So these are some of the things. And right, there's different types of ambiguity. There's syntactic ambiguity, semantic ambiguity. Organize your essays. Anyway, basically, chapter 3 will give you a lot of good advice about how to write an essay. So when you're writing essays for other classes, this would be a good chapter to consult every now and then. A lot of what's in chapter 3 is what you'll get in when you take an English class. If you take a class in English, you'll get a lot of this stuff. But it's always good to review. Okay, so basically what I want to do is let me go over this first too. The E stands for ER&T. It has to do with the evidence you provide. Enough evidence, relevant evidence, and true evidence. Consider opposing viewpoints. Argue logically. The L is for logic. Chapter 3 is focusing on the U. Write so people can understand you. Okay, that's what chapter 3 is. So I want to go over some of the exercises to make sure you got it. I mean, you can't just read these chapters. You have to take the time and don't just skim over them. I mean, take your time. Take some notes. Okay, so, and again, what you should be doing is looking in the back of the book. Because for all the starred problems that have a yellow or an orange triangle, will give you the answers in the back of the book. So you should be checking those out. Okay, so you've got to put the time into it. I can't do that. That's up to you. Each individual has to do that. Okay, so I'm going to look at chapter exercise 1. We'll just go over a couple of these just to make sure the material is sinking in. Exercise 3.1 is this in a 10th edition? If you have an 11th edition, it's basically the same stuff. But the pages may be different. Okay, exercise 3.1. What they do is the book gives you A, B, C, D, E, F. 6 different statements, and they want you to put them in the order of increasing preciseness. So the first term is going to be more vague than the next term, and the next term will be, as you move up the list, it'll become increasingly more precise. Okay, so let me just go over the first one here. So we'll see what happens here. So they give you A, B, C, D, E. A, B, C, D, E, F. So if you have your book, you should follow along. Eli and Joshua. Eli and Sarah. A. So we're gonna learn different things about Eli and Sarah. A, they decided to sell their house and move. Decided to sell their house. I'll just put house and move. Okay, that's one thing. A second thing is they made plans for the future. They made plans for the future. Okay, we'll just take these two. Which one is more precise? They made plans for the future, or they decided to. So A is more telling you more information than B. So it's gonna, when we list from more vague to less vague, B is going to come before A. So we know that. We don't know. There may be something in here, but we'll just do it one at a time. So B is going to come before A. C says they considered moving. Considered moving. Okay. Let's see here. C is more, gives you more information than B. B just says they made plans for the future. So C is going to come. C tells you a little more information. So C is going to come after B. But C is little. A tells you more information than C. C says they considered moving. A says they decided to sell a house. Okay, that's more specific. So A is going to come after C. What about D? D just says they talked. Okay, that's very vague. So D is going to come before B. What about, let's see, E, they discussed their future. Okay, that doesn't tell you what they're talking about. Just say they discussed their future. Let's see, what is that more vague than B? Okay, so yeah, so E is going to come before B because B is giving you more information than, B tells you more information than E. So D, E, B. C, A. Now we gotta go, where does F go? F says they discussed selling their house. Okay, is that what's that's more specific than C. So F is going to come after C. Let's see if it comes after or before A. A says they decided to sell their house and move. So A is more precise than F. So the answer is D, E, B, C, F, A. Okay? So I would look at that exercise again when you have some time and make sure you understand it. Okay, now I want to go to exercise 3.2. Okay, again, it's very important. There's a lot of stuff in this chapter. It's important to read it slowly and to take notes and really understand it. Make sure, go over as many exercises as you can that are in the back of the book. Okay, let's look at exercise 3.2. Which of these claims is more precise? We'll just do a couple of these. Let's look at, they're going to give you two choices. You pick which was more precise. Okay, number 1. Rooney served the church his entire life. That's statement A. B. Rooney's tennis serve is impossible to return. Okay, in both of those, I use the word served. Which one is more precise? Which one is more precise? Or which one is more vague? So the one that's the vaguer one, I would say, would be A. Rooney served the church his entire life. What does that mean? It doesn't tell you specifically how he served the church. What did he cook food for them? Did he visit people in houses? Whatever. It doesn't tell you. So that's vague. B says Rooney's tennis serve is impossible to return. That's very specific. We know what a tennis serve is. There's no vagueness there. So the answer for exercise 3.2, number 1, the one that's more precise is B. Let's do another one here. Let's do 3.2, number 2. A says the window served its purpose. The window served its purpose. B says the window served as an escape hatch. Obviously, B is more precise than A. A is very vague. It served its purpose. How? B tells you how exactly it did. So the answer is B is more precise. And we'll do one more here. Number 3, 3A, throughout their marriage, Alfredo served her dinner. We know exactly what that means, to serve somebody dinner. So that's B says throughout their marriage, Alfredo served her well. That's very vague. And how did he serve her well? It doesn't say. So the answer A is more precise than B. Okay, that's pretty simple. After this exercise, they talk about definitions. So make sure you read in edition 10. It's page 84, 85, and 86. We'll talk about definitions, purposes of definitions, and they list four purposes. That's on page 84. The first purpose is basically just to define the word. That's a lexical definition. It tells you what a word means. Like, for example, tamarin means, it's a noun. It's a small forest-dwelling South American monkey of the marmoset family, typically brightly colored and with tufts and crusts of hair around the face and neck. That, if you didn't know what a tamarin was, you read that definition, it'll tell you. Another purpose of definition is a stipulative definition. That's like when you make a word up. You make a word up totally from scratch, and you tell the person what you mean, or you take a word that is commonly used, but you give it a precise definition. You stipulate exactly what you mean. Like, for example, in this environment, desktop means, so desktop can mean different things in different contexts. Here it's telling you exactly what they mean, how they want you to take it. Desktop means the basic opening screen of the operating system, the one with the trash can. Okay, that's a stipulative definition. Some definitions, number 3, are a third important purpose of definitions is to reduce vagueness or generality. So, for example, in this one, the definitions of dollars is going to tell you reduce vagueness, because it could mean Canadian dollars, American dollars, or whatever. In this contract, the word dollars will refer only to Canadian dollars. Okay, so even if one party normally deals in U.S. dollars, that's another purpose, to reduce vagueness. Another purpose is persuasive definitions. That's to persuade somebody to feel one way, good or bad, about something. It's to see something positively or emotive or in a negative way. And that's a rhetorical definition or persuasive definition. That's on page 85. A good example of that would be, well, it's the one they give here. I'll give you an example. This is not from the book, but you could say, a Democrat is a crypto communist. Obviously, that's a rhetorical definition. It's trying to make you feel bad about Democrats. Or you could say a Republican is a crypto fascist. They're both rhetorical definitions. A definition is supposed to be, a good definition is supposed to be neutral. It's not supposed to, try to persuade the reader to think good, bad, or good about something. It's supposed to basically just tell them what the word means. So anyway, there's four purposes of definitions. That's on page 84. And then on page 85, they talk about different kinds of definitions: definition by example, definition by synonym, and analytical definitions. That's on page 85. Okay. So let's do. We have only a couple of minutes here, so I'm going to do exercise 3.3. They want you to identify the type of definition being used. The first one is this: a piano is a stringed instrument in which felt hammers are made to strike the strings by an arrangement of keys and fevers, of levers, keys and levers. That is an analytical definition. It tells you exactly what a piano is. It puts it into a class of things, and then it makes it specific. It's a stringed instrument. Okay, it puts it in a class of stringed instruments, and then it differentiates it from other stringed instruments. Number 2, decaffeinated means without caffeine. That's a definition by synonym. Okay, so the first one was an analytical definition. Second one is definition by synonym. This will be the last one. Steve Martin is my idea of a successful philosophy major. That's a definition by example. It's giving you an example of what a successful philosophy major is. And that's on page 87. I'll continue this in my next video.